What's up, guys? Welcome into the Wolverine live recruiting show. I am your host, EJ Holland. Make sure to like this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel for free. We recently passed 25,000 subscribers. We're on the road to 26,000. So make sure to hit that subscribe button. Get a notification every time we drop a new video, and also like this video. It helps us get in front of other Michigan fans so we have more discussion and we can keep the show moving. It is Michigan, Ohio State recruiting weekend. A lot of top prospects coming in. I know it is the day before Thanksgiving, so we'll probably have less viewers than normal. But if you do want your question answered, today is the Q&A show. So I'm here to answer any Michigan recruiting questions you do have ahead of the game. And it looks like we already have a question in from Tyson Smith. And he says, is Underwood gone or not? So obviously Tyson Smith is referring to five-star quarterback Bryce Underwood out of Belleville, Michigan. LSU has the lead on the On3 recruiting prediction machine with a commanding 91.9% chance of landing him. Now, Josh Newberg, one of our national analysts, was the first to put in a pick for LSU. I put in a pick for LSU this week as well. Now, Michigan is still expecting to host Underwood this weekend. He has, from what I've been able to gather, he and his family have indicated to Michigan that he plans to work around his Saturday practice schedule and get to the game, whether he's late or not, or participates in all the recruiting activities, kind of remains to be seen. Remember, Underwood and Belleville did qualify for the state championship game, and that is taking place at Ford Field on Sunday. So he does have actual team activities to do on Saturday around the game. So, I know Underwood takes his high school team very seriously, and he doesn't want to miss out on that for recruiting stuff. I think it would have been better had Michigan gotten him on campus for Purdue and dedicated more individual time to him. But the fact remains the same. Underwood's been on campus a ton. I'm not sure what else that he can see at Michigan. I think this visit will more so just be him watching the game, hanging out with some of the 24 commits, hanging out with a lot of the 25 targets, seeing what Michigan does in the passing game, actually seeing the offense in person from the stadium view as opposed to just watching it on TV. I mean, Michigan has opened up the offense a bit more throughout the season, maybe not with Sharon as the acting head coach, but over the season, JJ's put up good numbers. And I think Bryce wants to see the offense in action with his own eyes, actually see what JJ is doing from, a bird's eye view from the actual stadium. Again, not just on TV. But, putting in the prediction for LSU, I feel like Michigan has a mountain to climb, and I feel like those around the Michigan program know that as well. They know they are getting into crunch time and that LSU does have momentum after their latest visit. And on top of that, LSU, while not necessarily a Miami or a Texas A&M, definitely has the advantage when it comes to NIL. Obviously, a lot is going on around Michigan right now with the sign stealing scandal and, some worry about Jim Harbaugh's future. So that may play a role with Underwood because he's making a decision so soon. So right now, I do lean heavily towards LSU. Can Michigan get back some momentum this weekend? Sure. But I think it's going to come down to what type of approach Michigan takes from an NIL perspective, and if it will be enough, to swing the pendulum. And also, just how all of this plays out. Will there be any ramifications from the sign stealing scandal, the Jim Harbaugh, to NFL rumors? How much will that heat up this offseason? So right now, again, I think even with Underwood likely visiting this weekend, LSU has the commanding lead, which is why I put it in the prediction. But recruiting is fluid. We'll see if Michigan can get any momentum back. We do have a big super chat from VP of Hype, and he says, "Go Blue!" exclamation marks. With the weather expected to be cold, how big will quorum be? And probably better. Harbs is out, could chip a tooth on a frozen boog, the Carrie Croft show. So I guess that was a lot to handle. I'm not sure. There was an actual question in there. I guess, how big will quorum be? I'm interested to see what the offense looks like this weekend, just because, obviously the weather, but also with the amount of recruits coming in, and especially Underwood coming in. They want to see the ball thrown around a little bit more, but I think Sharon Moore is going to lean heavily on Blake Corum and Donovan Edwards and his offensive line. So, I think Blake's going to be big. I think Donovan's going to be big. And obviously Donovan had a great game against Ohio State last year. And I know in talking to a lot of the offensive line recruits coming in, they're really excited to see the Michigan run game. I talked to Rowan Byrne, and he told me, hey, if Michigan is able to run the ball on Ohio State like they did the last couple of years, that is really going to show dominance. And if Michigan's offensive line has another performance like that, I wouldn't be surprised if that results in some commitments. Avery Gack is a guy that's very high on Michigan. Rowan Byrne, who I just mentioned, Michael Carroll, Caden Strayhorn. So, it could be a bit of a snowball effect with the offensive line recruits if they see a strong performance up front. But big shout out again to VP of Hype for his super chat. And it looks like he has his own show. So I guess we'll have to go check that out since he was supporting. So again, big shout out to him. Getting back to the questions in order. And guys, if you want to skip the line, looks like we do have more people funneling into the show. If you want to skip the line, make sure to hit that super chat button. That money goes directly to my travel budget so I can see recruits across the country. Tyson Smith says, is Bear visiting or not? So obviously Tyson Smith is referring to Gatlin Bear, top 100 wide receiver in the 2024 recruiting class. Look, we haven't talked a lot about 2024 recruiting because there just hasn't been a lot going on. Michigan has 25 commits right now. They're not looking to add a ton of other guys, maybe 2-3 more, but Bear is a prospect that's intriguing for a couple of reasons. One, he wouldn't even count against the 2024 numbers. He's technically a 2026. He's taking a 2-year mission, just like Andrew Gentry did. So, even when he signs in December, he's not signing a national letter of intent like other recruits. He's actually signing a non-binding, financial document, which is why Gentry was able to maneuver around when Virginia parted ways with Bronco Mendenhall, and he signed with Michigan actually during his mission. But yeah, Gatlin Bear would count towards 26, but he's also intriguing because he's really the highest rated realistic guy left on the board for Michigan. Top 100 safety Zaquan Patterson was supposed to come in this weekend, and things kind of fell off there, and he's no longer coming in. So Gatlin Bear is really the most realistic guy right now. According to On3Zone rankings, Michigan only has one top 100 prospect, and that's number 94, Jordan Marshall. Gatlin Bear can be a game changer. Of course, you'd have to wait a couple of years before you can get him on campus, but he's one of the fastest recruits in the country, just an absolute burner. And I don't think Michigan really is going to have that on its roster next year. They don't have any guy that can really take the top off a defense like a Gatlin Bear could. When you run in the 10-2s in the 100 meters, that's elite level speed, like Olympic qualifying level speed. So I think right now with Boise State having fired their head coach, the door is wide open for Michigan to make a move. Michigan was right up there with Boise State in the summer. They hosted him for an official visit. He has a great relationship with Ron Bellamy, area recruiter Jay Harbaugh as well. You have the Colston Loveland connection. His high school coach was actually Loveland's high school coach. So you have the little Idaho pipeline there. And yeah, just overall, I think this recruitment is definitely open for Michigan to make a move. And, he's not confirmed to be coming in this weekend just yet. I think Bear's trying to play things close to the vest. But if I had to say, if the question was, are you expecting Gatlin Bear to be in Ann Arbor? Then the answer would be yes. Let's go down to our next question from Tyson Smith. And he says, do you and Libby like pumpkin pie or not? Stuffing or not? Okay, so continuing this question trend. I personally do not like pumpkin pie. I cannot speak for Zach. Zach's actually here. He's in his friendly ghost form in the background, producing the show, since our producer Megan has taken a leave of absence as she's producing a child. So we will have Zach's laughing in the background. We will have a new producer at some point, but for now, Zach is the de facto producer. He was learning how to produce the show all night long. But yeah, he's in the background, so he can give me a nod. Yes, he does like pumpkin pie, or no, he doesn't like pumpkin pie. He says thumbs down to pumpkin pie. Look, I'm proud of Zach. So we're both thumbs down with pumpkin pie. Pumpkin pie sucks. I did not even get a dessert for Thanksgiving tomorrow. But I would go with like a banana cream pie or a coconut cream pie. I mean, my favorite's chocolate, but my wife's not a huge chocolate fan. But either way, pumpkin pie sucks. Stuffing is not good either. I mean, I've heard people say that stuffing can be good. I tried to make it last year, a couple years ago, and it was not good. And, I've tried stuffing elsewhere and it's never been good. So I'm not sure I believe that stuffing can be good. Zach, are you a stuffing guy? Thumbs up. He says he is a stuffing guy. So back to being disappointed in Zach for choosing stuffing. Look, I just like the traditional turkey, mashed potatoes, corn, rolls, gravy, and everything else can go in the trash. That's all I want. A dessert will be good as long as it's not pumpkin pie, but I just want the traditional stuff. I don't want the stuffing. I don't want a pumpkin pie. I don't want other nonsense. Like, people also make holiday hams. Get out of here with that. I think that's more of a Christmas thing, but I don't want that either. Anything that's not turkey, gravy, mashed potatoes, and corn, get it off of my plate. Let's go ahead and go down to Go Blue 81. And he says, not going to lie, it hurt when you put in a prediction for LSU for Bryce Underwood. Who do you think would pair well with Carter Smith? That's a good question. I think the guy that I keep going back to is Husan Longstreet. He's just so fascinating to me. Like, I keep watching his film and I'm like, I don't know what to think about this guy, but he's fun. And, I like fun players like Husan Longstreet. He's built like Jaden Davis, like exact same build, 6'1.5", 185 pounds. And unlike Davis, he can actually run. So he's pretty mobile. He's a playmaker with his legs. Maybe not to the extent of like a Kyler Murray type, but he does create in and around the pocket, which is a big question mark I have with Davis. Now, he's certainly not as polished of a passer as Davis. He has a really weird throwing motion and also very weird, like, release points. I don't know if it's on purpose, like if he's trying to Pat Mahomes it out there, but his release points are all over the place. But man, he just makes a lot of plays and his film's just a lot of fun. And he plays at a great program out in California at Corona Centennial, which always plays really good competition. And Kirk Campbell has always really liked him. He brought him in for a visit in May. Longstreet threw in front of Campbell in June. So yeah, I mean, I would say Longstreet is another just interesting guy. You want another high ceiling to pair with another high ceiling in Carter Smith, I would go Longstreet. You already have your high floor in Jaden Davis in 2024. But aside from Longstreet, I think you just have to look at the transfer portal, really. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Michigan brings in multiple quarterbacks from the transfer portal. If you look at the quarterback room, let's say JJ McCarthy leaves. I mean, you have nothing but project type guys with, Alex Orji and Jaden Denegal, Kendrick Bell, like all these guys were project takes the last couple of cycles. I don't think you want to throw Jaden Davis right into the fire, though he's probably the most polished of those quarterbacks. But yeah, I think you're definitely going to see Michigan hit the portal at the quarterback position. Yes, we do. We don't have the best numbers tonight as far as viewership, just because it is the day before Thanksgiving. So appreciate all the hardcore Michigan recruiting fans for being in here. Let's go with Greg Ferguson. Are we in the running and legitimately being considered for any top 50 to 100 offensive tackles in the upcoming recruiting class? So I think most of the offensive tackles that Michigan is really in on and that are coming in this weekend are kind of in the 100 to 300 type of range. Obviously Michigan is in contention for David Sanders, 5-star tackle out of Charlotte, Providence Day, same school that's produced, Jaden Davis and Channing Goodwin. His offensive line coach is actually ex-Wolverine Jonathan Goodwin. I think Michigan has done as good of a job as it could do. Michigan was actually the first school to offer him. They're now going to have gotten him on campus twice this calendar year. He also visited for the barbecue at the Big House. So they're really pushing for Sanders. I'm not buying Michigan as an actual player here. Sanders already signed with an NIL agency. Georgia, Clemson, Alabama, South Carolina are some of the favorites in his recruitment. I think it's going to be really tough to pull him out of the South. So, Sanders would definitely be that big time offensive tackle that Michigan has gotten on campus. But like I said, most of the offensive tackles are going to be ranked in that, 100 to 300 range. Like guys coming in this weekend that are in that 100 to 300 range are Carter Lowe. That's a Michigan, Ohio State recruiting battle. Jack Lang is a newer offensive line target already making a visit. Will Black, I think Michigan has a really good shot with him. He's a teammate of 2024 commit Manuel Beagle. So those are, a few of the offensive tackle types. There are some interior offensive linemen that are highly ranked coming in as well, like Rowan Byrne and Michael Carroll. But when it comes to, top 50 to 100 tackles, not a lot of other names to know. Go Blue 81 says, what does Partridge getting fired mean for linebacker commits in future recruiting? Well, for future recruiting, it really depends on who they hire, right? Like I think in 25, they have to have a guy that can recruit really, really well because it is a special year at the linebacker position. There are so many elite level guys in 25. The sooner they find a replacement for Partridge, the better. And they need a guy that can go out and get guys because Michigan's had a lot of top end linebackers on campus already in 2025. They're bringing in a top 100 guy this weekend in Elijah Melendez. There's just a lot of really highly rated linebackers in 25. I'm interested to see who they hire. I think, it definitely hurts with the, rebuilding the bridge back into northern New Jersey. Obviously, Chris Partridge was really connected out there, and Michigan was starting to make more offers in the Catholic leagues in New Jersey. But he's gone now, so I think that'll hurt Michigan there. But for the most part, it really just depends on who they hire. In terms of the current class, the commits are kind of just seeing how things play out. I mean, all the linebacker commits are scheduled to be on campus. As I reported, Jaden Smith is going to be on campus. He's the one that we were worried about the most since, Partridge was arguably the biggest reason he committed to Michigan. Partridge had a tie to his high school coach. He identified him early on. But the fact that he's coming in for the game, I think, is definitely a positive. You've had Cole Sullivan, tell Zach that, or Cole Sullivan's family tells Zach that they're kind of talking about things, but he's coming in this weekend. Jeremiah Beasley and his family have been talking about things, but he's also coming in this weekend and also working around his state title game schedule. And then I don't think there's anything to worry about with Zach Luedecke. All right, let's go ahead and get a message in from our sponsor tonight. We are sponsored by My Perfect Franchise. Are you a displaced corporate executive or wanting to put your career in your own hands? Or are you an experienced entrepreneur wanting to diversify? Well, Andy Luedecke can help. Andy is a huge college sports fan and franchise veteran, having owned multiple franchises and businesses. Using his expertise, he helps others find their American dream through a very thorough consultation and evaluation process. Call Andy, put your life and career in your own hands. Best of all, his services are 100% free to you. So what do you have to lose? Find your perfect franchise at myperfectfranchise.net. Contact Andy at 404-973-9901 or visit myperfectfranchise.net. I actually had Chick-fil-A today. It's definitely my go-to spot for lunch. And, I dream of the day that I can have Chick-fil-A franchises in the same way that Zach dreams of the day he can have Skyline Chili franchises. So if you are capable of getting franchises, hit up our guy, Andy, inquire about it. And who knows, maybe me and Zach will stop at your franchise while we're on the road. All right, let's go back to Go Blue 81. And he says, if we're able to win the game, do you see any recruits committing on the spot? And is Tuggle going to visit this weekend? So starting off with Nitro Tuggle, top 100 wide receiver. He is not visiting for the game. He actually has his own state championship game. Michigan will look to bring him in December. He obviously is committed to Georgia, but Michigan has been working really hard over the past couple months. He's a teammate of Josiah Edmonds, so we'll see if they can make some things shake in December. And then, I could definitely see Michigan, landing some guys on the spot with a win over Ohio State. Guys getting off of visit highs and things like that. Maybe a guy like Elijah Dotson, who's an in-state prospect that's been a long time lean, or an Avery Gack, who's an in-state guy and has been to Michigan a ton. You could see a snowball effect, like I said earlier, with offensive linemen. Like if one of those guys jumps in, you could see another guy jump in too. Guys like Roman Byrne and Michael Carroll and Avery Gack, they're all friends. So you could just see that momentum start rolling in. But, it's really hard to predict commitments right now, just, knowing that there's a lot of uncertainty with the, sign stealing situation and Harbaugh's future and things like that. So I'm definitely not ruling it out, but it is tougher to, predict commitments given the situation. So shout out to everybody again watching. What's up to you, Jake, for joining in. If you have a question, leave a question. We are approaching the end of the show, so make sure to get your question in. I know there weren't as many tonight. It is Thanksgiving weekend, so once again, appreciate everybody for joining. And actually, if you're not a subscriber to thewolverine.com, you can get 50% off your first year. We're running a rivalry special, so you can get 50% off your annual subscription, or $1 for 1 month. It is Thanksgiving weekend, so make sure to get a gift in for a family member, or just get it for yourself if you're not a member. So that's 50% off, or $1 for 1 month for new annual subscribers. And you get all the latest premium recruiting information coming out of this big weekend. And let's see, Go Blue 81 is back in with with 5 commits on the offensive line in 2024, how many spots do we have for the 2025 class? Seems like a lot of top 100 OL recruits are coming in. Yeah, the offensive line list is really impressive. I could see Michigan taking, around 4 next cycle. They definitely want a couple of tackle types. I think they would take a couple of interior offensive linemen. They could get up to 5 if they land, maybe a guy like Caden Strayhorn, who's more of a center prospect. But I would say around 4 is probably what you're looking at. A lot of options to choose from. Like we mentioned, there's several guys really high on Michigan coming in, from Will Black to Avery Gag to Carter Lowe to Michael Carroll to Rowan Byrne to Caden Strayhorn. There's just so many offensive linemen coming in. So, a lot of options there for Sharon Moore. He's definitely taking advantage of winning back-to-back Joe Moore awards and Michigan's, physical ground and pound game that they've become known for over the last couple of cycles. I just wish, Mike Hart would bring in those high-level running backs as well. So that's the one disappointing thing from the list. So Mike Hart catching a stray there. Is Greg Ferguson says, is it NIL related or fit? I think he's talking about Bryce Underwood. But, with Bryce Underwood, I think anytime, and this isn't a knock on Bryce or anything, but I think if you're the number 1 player in the country at the quarterback position, you're going to command NIL dollars, right? So, I do think NIL is going to play a role with Underwood, and I do have more confidence that LSU will get something done for him on that end. And I'm not really confident in Michigan doing that. Historically, we haven't seen Michigan really do that. And when they did kind of try to participate in NIL early on, it really didn't work with like Damani Jackson. I know, obviously, the infamous Uncle T was, I don't know if exposed is the right word, but found out. I don't know. Uncle T's basically gone now after that latest report. And I know Uncle T was involved in trying to get some of those deals, and he was involved with, planning for the Bryce Underwood type of recruitment. And, Uncle T is now gone. So I'm not sure who's going to spearhead that movement. And, with the Uncle T situation playing out the way it did with, LSU, I think, being more willing to play that game and just everything going on, it makes a lot of sense for him to go down to LSU. And to be honest, like, Bryce has always had a wandering eye for the South. Even when I interviewed him as a freshman, he told me he was really interested in playing in the SEC one day. And then you look at the offenses, and, while JJ's been putting up some really good numbers and has been mentioned as a Heisman candidate, you have, Jaden Daniels, who's the front runner right now, and LSU's offense has been very, very pass happy, which is something that's appealing to Bryce as well. So, I think it's a mix of things, but, Michigan has its work cut out for it this weekend. And we'll, kind of see if the Wolverines are able to turn the corner and maybe get some momentum back on their side, but just not a lot of room here for Michigan to operate with so much going on. Koglu81 says that he's not a pay-for-play kind of guy, but for Underwood, he would back up the Bricks truck for him. Yeah, man. I mean, at the end of the day, I think Michigan's going to have to figure something out, whether it's, putting in that base salary model that Jim Harbaugh's been asking for a while. But, even that, I don't think would be enough for a guy of Underwood's stature. And again, not just, isolated to Underwood. Moving forward, 5-star prospects are going to be really hard to land without a true NIL plan in place. But I think Michigan fans should be really excited about Carter Smith either way. He's going to be on campus. He's going to be recruiting hard for Michigan. And, he's a great athlete with a ton of upside. So really excited about Carter Smith. And I think you guys should be too. And, Go Blue 81 comes back. He says he's sad that we missed out on Carr and Underwood. Not sure more Carr and Underwood. Not sure when Michigan will produce these kinds of quarterbacks again. Michigan didn't really miss out on CJ Carr. Like, they just preferred Jaden Davis. Missing out on Dante. It is what it is. And then Underwood. That kind of sucks. But like I said, I'm personally excited about Carter Smith. I'm really interested to see what he becomes at the next level. And I will be seeing him soon. So keep it locked into our YouTube channel. Could get some game highlights soon. But appreciate you guys for joining me tonight on Thanksgiving week, just a few hours before Thanksgiving. So thanks again, guys. Appreciate you. Make sure to like this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel, subscribe to the Wolverine.com. Zach and I will be back next Tuesday, and I will be back again next Wednesday. And I know the discussion will be up as we'll be coming off the Michigan-Ohio State game. So tune into the Wolverine.com for all your coverage.